Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. My name is Preston Jollins. I am from EP Plus Learning, and today this is my partner.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ada Grace, and I am also from EP Plus Learning. Before we start, I would like to thank Dr. Atapon and the Ministry of Education of Thailand for making this event possible.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for that, Ada. So, today, what are we going to talk about? Our topic is how to have a cool online teaching style.
I like what you just did there. I like what you just did, like cool online teaching style. Well, Joe, as you know, because of the situation of COVID-19, the education landscape has changed and all classes have resorted into online platform. So how do we make it cool? So we'll make it fun, we'll make it engaging, and we make it interactive like this one.
Well said. Thank you, Ada. So, many of the points here today you will already know. Hopefully, we can give you some new information and refresh your minds for the upcoming semester. So, let's move on to the first slide, please. In the first slide, you will see it says communication with parents and students. Now, this is vital. Okay, you need to talk with your students. Now, this will be done via Line, WhatsApp, Zoom groups, or other chats and blogs. Okay, and you need to give the families an outline and a guide, okay, on what's happening in the upcoming semester. Remember, it's a collaborative effort between the teacher, the families of the students, and of course, the student. Once you have this communication, that is 50% of the job already done. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, please. And the next slide is understanding and using the online teaching platforms. Now, on your slide, you will see different things such as Zoom, such as Skype, Manicam. Okay, there are many different platforms we can use. You need to train yourself and understand what it incorporates. Okay, the main idea on this is understanding the tools, how to use those annotation tools. Ada, what do you think about that?
That is totally correct. And I agree with you because most teachers struggle with trying to navigate through their platform. So the secret really is to be familiar with it and master it, Char.
Yes, thank you, Ada. Let's move on to the next slide, please. And you'll see on the next one it says the online teaching classroom and environment. You will see we have teacher Tori there, and she's got some beautiful pictures in the background, things such as maps, different English questions, and just a fun environment. And remember, you need good lighting to show your face, and you need space to move your arms and make funny faces for your students. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, please. The standard teacher's appearance. Okay, what do you think about Teacher Joel and Teacher Ada's appearance? Do I look handsome? Does Ada look beautiful?
100%.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Now, you need to present yourself very nicely and neatly for your students. You must be a role model. Okay, if your students see you looking presentable, they will do the same. Okay, let's move on, please, to the next slide. Here we go. This is a classroom introduction. When you start your semester, or when you start every lesson, you must get your students talking. Okay, now you'll see on the slide, it says general questions. So things like, what's your name? How are you today? Or how old are you? And if you want to be more specific, you can ask, what did you eat for breakfast? What did you do yesterday? Or what will you do on Saturday? Get your students talking, make them relax and enjoy your lessons. Ada, what do you think about that?
I agree. This is building rapport, right? So you have to not go straight away to your lesson, but try to ask your students, how are you? Are you happy or are you sad? You can also make it like a game. So raise your hand if you're happy. Raise your hand if you're sad.
Thank you, Ada. Now, we're going to show you a quick video of Teacher Simon, one of EP Plus's great teachers.
My favorite.
Yeah, he's going to introduce a student to an online lesson. Please watch and see how he does it.
Hello, Chad. Hi, Chad. Hey, nice to see you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good boy. Chet, can you say, good morning, teacher Simon?
Morning, teacher Simon.
Wow, very nice. Teacher Simon. Yeah, good boy, Chet. Hey, Chet, how are you today?
I am happy.
Woo! That's what I like to hear. Nice. Okay, Chet, let's do a couple of questions. Chet, are you a boy or a girl? Are you a boy or a girl, Chet?
You boy.
Good boy. Chet, say, I am a boy.
I am the boy.
Whoa, very good. And how old are you, Chet? How old are you? Are you 3 years old or 4 years old?
Four.
Four, right?
Four.
Good boy. Chet, can you say,
Four.
I am 4 years old?
I am 4 years old.
Oh, very nice, very nice, very nice. I think we have Mr. Crit coming into the classroom. Mr. Crit is on the way. Here he comes. Look, Chet, get ready. Who's this? Who's this? Mr. Crit, where are you?
Teacher Simon.
Oh, he scared me. There he is. Good morning, Crit. Hello. Oh, Bright is on the way as well. Oh, no, he's stuck. Hello.
Okay, thank you so much for watching that video. Now, if we move to the next slide, please, I want to talk about how it relates to the video. Now, the next slide talks about how to engage with your students. Is it possible to get that slide up? If not, I will carry on. Now, you saw in the video that in the slide, thank you very much, we need to engage and change the pace, the sequence, and the learning materials. Now, in the video, if we look at the first one there, it says visual, okay, visual. You need to show your students some props. So Teacher Simon used his hands, but he showed the props in the background, and he even had some binoculars, okay, that he used as visual. For auditory, okay, things to help the students listen, you can play songs, videos, and you can change your voice when you talk, like Teacher Simon did. All right, and the last one is kinesthetic, that is to use your body parts. Yes, Teacher Simon was moving around and joking with his students, and it was very, very entertaining. What did you think of the video, Ada?
Well, first of all, like what I told you, Joe, Simon is one of my favorite teachers, and I love how he's very dynamic in terms of his voice, right? So he used a lot of different voices. So I think at some point it caught the students' interest and made it more fun for the kids as well.
Definitely, thank you. All right, let's move on to the next slide, please. Wow, look at that. Now we're going to talk about teaching tools, manual tools, and digital tools. Okay, now for manual tools, teaching tools, you can use things like stickers, star charts, or even a whiteboard, okay? And you can have a small little whiteboard that you show when you teach if you want. What's better is digital tools, okay? Online whiteboards. And you'll see at the top left of your screen there, we have the Zoom tools. Things to write, the annotate, the eraser, the highlighter, okay? These are great tools to use when teaching online. And if you look in the middle of your screen, the red one there, that is a teaching platform called Dada, and that also shows the tools you can use. Now you need to train and understand these tools before you teach online. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. Now, just like a real classroom, you need a set of acceptable behaviors. How should your students behave? Can they shout? Can they eat? Can they fight? No, we know they cannot. So at the start of every online lesson, you need to tell them what is okay, and you need to show them a written format of what is okay and what is not okay. They need to understand that because it's online, you cannot shout and behave badly. What do you think about that, Ada?
That is absolutely right. It's like classroom, right? I think whenever I train teachers, I always tell them you need to set the rules on the very first day. So same with online teaching, there has to be set of rules. Otherwise, it's going to be really messy, Teacher Joe.
Indeed. Just one more point on this. Now, with online, if the students are behaving extremely badly and talking, step one, talk to your students nicely. Ask them to please be quiet. Step two, if that doesn't work, mute their microphone. Okay. Step three, say that you might kick them out or take them out of the classroom. Okay. And step four, if that happens, phone their parents, tell them what happened, and ask them to speak to them. Okay, so the students need to understand what is okay, what is not okay. All right, let's move on to the next slide, please. Wow, look at that. Now, in the previous slide before, we spoke about behavior. In this slide, we're going to talk about a reward system. If a student does something good, you need to reward them. How can we do that? Well, there are many different ideas on screen. I think the first one should be manual, like stickers or star charts or ticking next to their name. But what's better is digital. All right, now on Zoom and Skype, Google Classrooms, you have digital icons like smiley faces, trophies, and different stamps you can use to show that the student has done well. And the last reward you can give students is to promise them a game, all right, or promise them a show and tell, or you can even promise them 10 minutes at the end of the lesson to talk and joke with each other. All of those are great rewards for your students. Ada?
Yes, so every time I would do online teaching, I make sure that I give fair rewards. And that also motivates the students to participate more, also to really listen to you and understand your lesson.
Yes. Now remember, if there are rewards, it motivates the students and it helps them think, wow, if I listen and do good work, I'm going to get something. Yes, all right. So keep that in mind, please, teachers. Let's go into the next slide, please. And this is the last slide for the first segment. And this says encouragement. And you'll see Teacher Ali giving a thumbs up. Okay. Now, encouragement is so important. And it links, it's together with a reward system. Okay, all students love encouragement. Many Thai students are shy or scared to speak English. You need to help them. You need to be positive and you need to encourage them, okay? Get them comfortable, get them talking. One more point on this. If a Thai student is speaking, okay, reading or writing, let them finish their work first before you correct the mistake. Okay, let them finish. Yes, Ada, carry on.
Can I add something about correcting? One of the things that you might want to consider as well is instead of saying, oh, you are wrong, or that's wrong, you have to tell the students, well, you're almost close, or you're almost there, but not really. So by saying that, you're not discouraging them. Instead, you're trying to lead them to get to the right answer.
Yes, thank you. That's a great point, Ada. And on that point, what Ada just said, speaking nicely and politely, and you can even make it into a joke and make the students laugh and have fun. Because it's good sometimes to laugh at ourselves and understand that it's just a mistake and life goes on. We can get better together. All right, now for the last slide of this segment, we're going to play an online games video. But first, wow, let's look at teachers' personality and behavior. Okay, there are 5 different personality and behaviors there. The first one is positive, smiling and happy with your students. They will be the same. The second one is friendly and welcoming. Come, please, come into the class. Be comfortable. The third one is approachable. Okay, on the right-hand side of your screen, approachable means the student can ask you questions whenever they want. And they can say if they do not understand. Do not make your students scared of you. Be approachable. Let them talk with you. Point 4 is charismatic. You'll see a woman with the TPO there. Remember, as the teacher, you have to motivate your students. You have to get the lesson started, okay? Being charismatic is easier for some than for others. But you need to be charismatic. You need to joke with your students. You need to make them have fun, okay? That's important. And the last point, point 5, is analytical. You must look when teaching online and see, okay, is the student listening? Does the student understand? What is the student's output? What are they saying? What are they writing? Do they understand what you have taught? What do you think about that, Ada?
I agree with all the 5 points, but I would like to say something about being analytical. As we know, online teaching is already a challenge, right? So I would like to remind our teachers to not really aim for perfection. We should not expect our classes to be perfect, nor our students to be perfect in the classroom. We have to make it more fun and comfortable for them because we have to take into consideration that they are alone in their houses. They don't get to see their friends, you know. It's difficult. It's hard for them. So analytical in terms of your lessons, making sure everyone's listening, but not really being a perfectionist. Do you agree?
Good point. Yes, Ada, thank you for that. Definitely a good point. All right, let's move on to the last slide before our video, and it says alternative online classroom techniques. Okay, we've already spoken about the online whiteboard where you can write and students have a visual of what you're writing, or it could be a picture, okay, or you could give students a chance to write. What's great about the online whiteboard is you can play games such as Pictionary and get the students involved. The second picture there in the middle of your screen is pre-recorded videos of students. What does that mean? Well, it means playing a video of your students singing, talking, or playing an instrument And students really love these types of videos, okay? Please remember, do not embarrass your students. Ask them if it's okay to play the videos. But trust me, once your class sees a video of the students or a student, they love it, they laugh, it's loads of fun. Okay, the third picture on your screen there is flipped classrooms. Now, a flipped classroom is where you give a topic to your students. They have to go home, write something or think of it, and then you start your lesson the next day and they have to talk and discuss this topic. So this is a speaking exercise where students have to speak and give their opinion on things such as a debate or a quiz or a different topic. Okay, yes, Ada, do you want to say anything?
Yes, Joe. Actually, we've got some live questions coming in. So there are two questions here. So the first one is, if there are many students, like 50 students in one online classroom, how are we going to manage to apply these techniques? You can tell me, you can tell them what you think, but I think it's important to have groupings. Do you agree?
Yes.
So
definitely.
if you have 50 students, make sure that you have assigned them in groups. So 50 students, we're talking about, say, 5 groups. Or if that's too much for you, you can probably have 10 groups. And then you assign them with numbers, or maybe make it more fun, like names of superheroes, like or any other funny names. And then that will be their group from the start of your online class up until they are able to go back to their normal classroom.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Great point, Ada. I definitely agree. Just when you do have 50 or 100 or even 200 students or people in the call, remember, like I said earlier, set the rules of what's acceptable and not acceptable, not okay, okay? So students should mute their microphones, they should be listening, and only when asked a question should they answer. Okay, I think we've both taught classes where we've had loads of students, 50, 100 students, and it's very difficult, but you need to have one person talking at a time. Only one. Either it's a teacher or one student. Okay, it cannot be more than one person. So please remember that. And Ada's point on groups is very good point. Divide them into groups, okay, and that way it's easier to control the class.
There is another question, Joy. The second question is, how can we compress these strategies if you only have 15 minutes? So again, having them in groups will save your time. It's all about management. If you plan your lessons ahead, then you already know if you're going to have a collaborative work, you can pre-assign activities to them, and then during your class, you can call them by group, right?
Yeah.
So that in that way, you can save your time and you can make the most out of 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be like every single student talking in the classroom, or every single member of the group talking, but you know, they can take turns, like on a Monday, student A, on a Tuesday, student B.
Yeah, great point. I think also, just to let the teachers and the others out there know that you don't have to apply all of these techniques in every lesson. Okay, these are just guidelines to help you. In one lesson, you might use 4 or 5 techniques, and in another lesson, you might use a different 4 or 5 techniques. Okay, every lesson is a bit different. You can't use all of these in every lesson. These are just a guideline. And just on the point, if you only have a 15, 20 or 30-minute lesson, remember, you must prepare. The old saying, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Okay, so organize it, and like teacher Ada said, not every student has to talk. Okay, divide it into groups, and by the end of the week, you should have had all 30 or all 50 students saying one sentence at least.
Correct.
All right, let's go on to the next slide, please, the final slide. Online games and gamification. Maybe the most important tool to use when teaching online. You'll see 6 pictures on your screen there, all right? Now, there are great websites to get these games. Just to name a few, ESL World Games and Twinkle are two excellent sites to get games that you can play when teaching online, or you can even make your own. Okay, now for kindergarten, we usually use rhyming games, phonics games, or vocabulary games. Okay, for primary, we are usually going to also use rhyming games or even tense games, okay, sentence tenses. And for high school, obviously, they're going to be different. You're going to use more difficult games. They can relate to tenses, or they can even relate to things like antonyms, opposites, and synonyms, things that are similar. And we can do quizzes, all right, where you ask them questions, they have to guess the answer. Ada, do you want to touch on that?
Yes, right. So online, remember, it has to be fun. It has to be really exciting for the student. So there are, to be honest, you'd really just need to be resourceful because there are so many ready platforms or applications or websites that you can actually use to make your classroom, online classroom, more fun and exciting.
And just before we go to a video on games, I do want to speak to the teachers out there and say that as time goes on, young people, young students are more adept and they are using more and more games. All right, so if you feel in your online lesson that it's starting to get boring or it's going quiet, change things, put on a game, lift your lesson up again to a better level. Okay, don't be afraid to change it up and read your lesson. Is it going badly? Change it. If it's going well, keep it as it is. All right, let's go on to the final video of the first segment. This is Teacher Simon again, playing a game with his students. Let's watch the video, please.
Okay, round 3. You're doing pretty amazing so far. Are you there, Tim? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Here we go. Name, it's way too easy. What does the question say, Tim?
Name a yellow fruit.
Name a yellow fruit. Yes. Okay, very good.
Mango.
You have to choose one.
Mango.
Mango. You think that's going to be the most popular?
I don't know.
Let's see. I think there's another one that's going to be first. It's long and yellow, but you go mango. Let's see. Where does mango come in? What number? 5. Melon. Pineapple. Tree. Oh! 5 points. Banana, of course. Banana is the most common, obvious answer. Okay, here we go, round 4. We'll do a couple more and move on. Name, tough one. Name a color of the rainbow. What do you think the most common answer is to this one? Name a color of the rainbow. Yeah, because it's the first one in the song, right? Haha. Here we go. Orange, 5. Yellow. Green. Blue. I think you got it. Yes. 10 points. 10 points for Tim once again. Okay, round 5. Let's go. Let's see. Tricky. What does it say, Tim? Can you read it to me?
Name something people drink.
Name something people drink. What do you think? What's the most common answer?
Water.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. We'll find out. We will find out. Milk. Tea. Coffee. Juice. What do you think? Here we come. It's the suspense. Here we go. Way! She got it. Wow, you're doing amazing. Okay, one more. The most common. Name an animal that lives in the sea. Ooh. Tricky. Fish! You think that's the most common answer?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
I don't know about that. Let's go number 5. Seal. Octopus. Dolphin. Shark. Number 1. I think you might be right. No! You got nothing. Whoops. Whale? Whale is the most common answer? I didn't think it would be a whale. Okay, anyway. 0. Oh, no, I Tim. 0.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that video of Teacher Simon, and I hope it gives you an idea of how to run an online game. Please also look at Teacher Simon's behavior, his face, the way he talks, the way he jokes, how he interacts with his student during the game. Okay, before we carry on, I think we have some questions from the teachers out there.
That is correct. So we've got 3 questions. Do you want to talk about the first question, Jar?
All right, yes, the first question came in and it spoke about what should teachers do if students do not have internet in terms of materials. So the teacher said they have online materials, the teacher has the online materials, but the students do not have internet. How can we teach them? Well, let's start by saying that is going to be difficult, but I think there is a solution. All right, you need to somehow communicate with the students. Maybe you ask them to come in once a week or once a month to keep social distancing, and they can come into the school, get some worksheets, okay, or some physical paper, and then they can take it home again and study from home. All right, it's going to be very difficult if your students do not have internet, do not have computers, do not have phones. Obviously, during COVID, extremely difficult, but there is a solution. The students must come into their schools. They must fetch some worksheets that the teacher has prepared, and they can then take it home. All right, remember, there is always a solution to these problems. Be organized, think outside the box. The main aim is to keep the students learning and growing. Ada.
I totally agree with all the points that you mentioned, Jar. Now let's go to the second question and the third question. So the second question is, one of the teachers said she doesn't really believe, or she's not very confident about online teaching anymore, because when they go back to the classroom, it feels like they are starting over again. I understand that, and I hear you, because that's what exactly is happening. But I think we have to do it on a premise that we need to do extra effort in trying to modify the lessons, the curriculum, the outline that we used to do, or that we used to use in the classroom, and modify it that it would fit into online teaching. So if you have like 10 different topics in 2 months, for example, and you have to do that teaching online for 2 months, you won't be able to finish all those. What you can do is collaborate with your school or with your co-teachers and try to pick which you feel are the most important or essential for the students to learn. In that way, the students will not be bombarded, and the content is not a lot for the students. In that way as well, when you go back to the classroom, then you can resume to the normal lessons that you have and just maybe review, what you tackled or what you discussed online. So there's another question. So the third question, Joe, is how are we going to deal with students whose parents are not really there because they're working, and they can't really do online because they don't have any guardian in their houses. So what I can say is it's related to what Joe said, module, right? So again, it's extra work, extra effort for the teachers, but at the end of the day, the main goal is for the students to learn something. In 2 months of lockdown, for the students to gain something, for the knowledge to not be stagnant, or for the knowledge to not be stopped, or for the learning to not be stopped. Do you agree?
Yes, I definitely agree. Just before we carry on, I just want to touch on question 2 that Ada addressed there. Now, the teacher said that when you learn online and then you go back to school, you start from the beginning. Now, there are 2 things you can do to stop this from happening. Number 1, when teaching online, teach at a slower pace. Be slow, be patient, revise your work, go over your work. So be slow when teaching online. Give the students time. It's different online. Okay? And the second point is have the students take pictures of their work and send it in. Okay? So you can see the results. If they do not take a picture or they do not send their work in, then there need to be consequences. You need to text them on the groups. You need to even call their parents and say what is happening. The student must do this work. So if you see the work, you see the evidence, when you get back to school and you check their books, you will know they are up to date. You don't have to go back and start from the beginning. Maybe you can spend 2 or 3 lessons revising the work, and then you can carry on in your book. Make sure there is evidence, okay?
Right. There's another question, Joe. So when we are doing these gamification or games in the classroom, one of the teachers asked, what will the other 49 students do while one of the students is actually playing?
All right, that's a great question. Now, in my point earlier saying that there should only be 1 student talking or 1 teacher talking during the lesson, you can change that rule for games. Okay, now you can make it a game where all the students have to either write the answer in the chat box. If you want it to be quiet, they can write. The first student to write the answer gets the point. Or you can have the student shout the answer, and the first student to shout gets the point. Or even better, you can divide the class into groups. It can be 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, okay? And then you allocate 1 student per question, 1 student from the groups. So say it's 2 groups, you can have 2 students, they have to answer, and their group gets a point. So you don't have to just have 1 person talking, it can be interactive. You can get all the students playing the game. All right, I hope that answers the question.
That's correct. I hope we won't be able to provide you with the perfect answers, but we hope that at some point you're getting something out of what we are presenting to you today. Right, Joy?
Indeed. These are just guidelines, everyone. Okay, these are just guidelines. Let's now move on to the second segment. 10 minutes left. This is going to be more practical. Okay, so teacher Ada is going to go through some different formats and different platforms you can use when teaching online.
Thank you, Joy. So let's have the slide, please. There you go, teaching techniques. And guys, next slide, please. So first, you have to be loud, clear, and slow. Okay, so if we are talking about 50 students in the classroom and their level of English is not very good, then you might want to do it loudly, clearly, and slowly for them to understand you. Can I have the next slide, please? Next one, total physical response. As we all educators know, it's TPR. So it's very important because we are practically limited by our computer computer screens. So TPR is important. You have to make gestures, you have to be more animated when you are teaching online. Next one.
Sorry, Ada, what did you say? What did you say?
That's exactly how
Can
you
you
do.
see me? Can you see me? Can you see my hands? TPR, everyone. Okay, especially for kindergarten and primary. High school, you don't need to do that. You can use different tools, all right, such as games and videos. For kindergarten and primary, TPR. TPR.
It seems like yes, Teacher Joy's one of your favorite strategies, right?
Indeed.
So yes, use your hands, be more animated. Okay, next one is props, of course. So I know again you probably are thinking, oh, that's a lot of work for teachers, but I guess that's why we're teachers, like it's worth it when we see our students learning. So we need to have some props. It doesn't have to be big or extra special. You can probably just use whatever is available in your own house. Next slide, please. Intonation and playful accents. So how do you do it, Joe? Like when we're this is usually for kindergarten or primary. They find it so fun to have different voices, right?
Yes, indeed, Ada. So when speaking to a kindergarten student or even a primary student, change up your accent. Hello. 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 All right, change up your tone. Have fun with them. Now, this can even apply to high school students. Okay, high school students. You can even pretend to be a famous person or a superstar or a cartoon, and the students have to guess. You can even play a game with intonation where the students have to all turn off their cameras or put on a blindfold, and one student has to speak and the others have to guess who it is.
That's right. Next slide, please. Social sessions. So as you know, it depends whatever platform you're using, but if you're using Zoom, you've got breakout sessions, so you can actually put your students in different groups. Again, remember, everyone is almost isolated, so you want to give them a chance to not just, study and be more academic, but also to communicate and connect and socialize with their friends. So how can you do that? You can put them in different rooms or different groups. You can encourage talking in your online classroom, and it doesn't have to take up so much time. It can be like 5 to 10 minutes of your online teaching session.
Yeah, so
right,
just
Joe?
on that point, everyone, a social session is a real conversation. Okay, so if you have a 50-minute lesson, give time for 5 or 10 minutes of a social session. Students really want a real conversation with their teacher. You would be surprised to see the students want to know what you have been doing. They haven't seen you. Everything is online. They want to know what their friends have been doing, what the teacher has been doing. Let them talk. Create a real conversation where they can speak English and enjoy and relax. After all, that's what teaching English is all about. Conversation.
That's right, conversation. Can we have the next slide, please? There you go. So examples of games. So most of you are familiar with these games. I'm not going to dive into details, but these are the list. You might want to take your pen and your notebook. You probably have it with you. So you've got tongue twisters. So again, you can do it by group, or you can choose the student. There are apps which I will talk about later, and how to pick your students so they are all on their toes and ready. You can have riddles, quizzes, antonyms, synonyms, and tense-based games. Do you want to add on to that, Joe?
Yeah, tongue twisters are a great example when using phonics, when talking, trying to get the correct pronunciation. An example, she sells seashells on the seashore. Okay, so that's a great example for students to try and get their intonation and their pronunciation correct. It's also lots of fun, and you can laugh and joke with each other. Riddles, there's some great riddles out there. I would say riddles are better for older primary and high school students because they've got to think and try and think in English too. So that's not an easy thing to do. All right, quizzes, similar to riddles for high school students. Antonyms, synonyms, and tense-based games can be used for primary level as well.
Right, thank you, Joel. And let's have the last slide, please. Helpful apps. Okay, so the first one is Google Earth. So this is very much available online. So you just type in Google Earth. You can start your class with this one. So what you can do, it can be done once a week or twice a week. You know, you pretend that you're gonna go places, right? Because everyone is staying at home, so you can choose a place in Thailand or outside Thailand. It's like satellite view, and you can work around that, play around that with your students to make your classes more fun. You also have WooClap. WooClap is an app. Again, it's readily available as well. Then you can integrate questions, you can make quizzes, and then you can see your students live when they answer those questions. You have online Stopwatch, very simple. You can use a timer so that everyone is on their toes and ready to answer you when you've got questions. You also have no hands up. You can use it to generate the names, but it only works on Windows. If you're using MacBook, you can use classroomscreen.com. It also allows you to type in or encode all your students' name, and then it will flash whoever student has to speak. You also have quizzes and, of course, PowerPoint games. And there you have it, guys. So these are the games or helpful apps that you can use to make your online teaching cool, fun, engaging, and interactive.
Yes, thank you so much, Ada. Just to finish, I just want to say thank you so much to all the teachers out there for tuning in and watching. We appreciate your time. I also really want to thank the Ministry of Education in Thailand for allowing us this opportunity and providing such a great service to all the teachers out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Atapon. Thank you so much, MOE or Ministry of Education of Thailand, for this such great opportunity.